Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. This is Dr. Diane Sanchez, and I'm going to review Variable Pay and Executive Compensation, Chapter 12. Our learning objectives is to define variable pay and identify 3 elements of successful pay for performance plans, discuss 3 types of individual incentives, identify key concerns that must be addressed when designing group team variable plans. Specify why profit sharing and employee stock ownership are common organizational incentive plans. Explain 3 ways that sales employees are typically compensated. And indicate the components of executive compensation and discuss criticisms of executive compensation levels. First, let's jump into variable pay. Incentives for performance. Variable pay is compensation tied to performance. And it's done in an individual basis, group, team, or organizational. Now, many individuals who believe in variable pay believe that better performance leads to greater rewards for employees. The performance considered may be an individual's performance, the performance of a group, or the performance of an organization. It can be beneficial for both employees and employer, and employers have more output per employee, and the employees get more pay. Why use variable pay? Well, some people perform better and are more productive than others. Better performing employees should receive more compensation. And then total compensation should be tied directly to performance and results. And some jobs contribute more to organizational success than others. This figure 12.1, and it's in your book as well, gives you a variety of possible incentives. And we won't cover them all in this PowerPoint webcast, but your book goes into great detail on every single one of them. Developing successful pay for performance plans. So, reasons for pay for performance plans, and I'm sure many of you have them in your organization. But first you need to link strategic goals and employee performance together. You need to enhance organizational results and reward employees financially for their contributions. You need to recognize different levels of employee performance through different rewards. And you can achieve HR objectives such as increasing retention, reducing turnover, recognizing succession training, and rewarding safety. And all of these can reduce fixed costs. So, combating variable pay complexity. First of all, given these dynamics and the complexity of some plans, providing variable pay that is successful requires significant continuing efforts. Some factors that contribute to the success of incentive plans are developing clear, understandable plans that are continually communicated, use realistic performance measures, keep the plans current and linked to organizational objectives, clearly link performance results to payouts that recognize performance differences, and identify variable pay incentives separately from base pay. Factors for successful variable pay plans. This chart is 12.2 and in your book, but it really talks about current updated plans, as I talked about, results and desired behavior, clearly separate from base pay, clearly communicated, performance results are clearly linked to payout. And you've got to have sufficient financial resources consistent with organizational culture, measurable performance. The plan is clear and understandable, and then of course it's linked to organizational objectives. So, effective incentive plans answer 3 questions. Does the plan fit the organization? Does the plan reward the appropriate actions? And is the plan administered properly? So, for example, assume a hotel reservation center wants to set incentives for employees to increase productivity by lowering the time they spend on each call. If the amount of time spent is the only measure, the quality of the customer service and the number of reservations made might drop as employees rush callers to reduce call time. Therefore, the center should consider basing rewards on multiple measures such as call time, number of reservations booked, and the results of customer service surveys. All right, the different types of categories, and let me go back to, is the plan administered properly? Really, managers also need to be able to explain clearly what future performance targets need to be met and what the rewards will be. All right, categories of variable pay. We have individual incentives, group incentives, and organizational incentives. So individual incentives are things like piece rate systems, bonuses, non-monetary incentives, and commissions. And then you have group team incentives, group team results, gain sharing, goal sharing, quality improvement, cost reduction. And then organizational incentives, profit sharing, employee stock options, executive stock options, and deferred compensation. So, individual incentives are given to reward the effort and performance of individuals. When it comes to group team incentives, which are the most common, is when an organization rewards an entire group or team for its performance, cooperation among the members. And then organizational incentives reward people according to the performance results of the entire organization. This approach assumes that all employees work together can generate improved organizational results that lead to better financial performance. So, necessary conditions for individual incentive plans. Individual performance must be identified, individual competitiveness must be desired, and individualism must be stressed in the organizational culture. So we talked about piece rate. Straight piece rate systems or wages are determined by multiplying the number of units produced by a piece rate for 1 unit. Differential piece rate system pays employees 1 piece rate wage for units produced up to a standard output and a higher piece rate for units produced over the standard. Individual incentives, bonuses, are one-time payment that does not become part of the employee's base pay. They can be one-time bonuses for, let's say, when you get your master's degree. Your company would give you a one-time bonus. Or if you achieve your CPA certificate, that's another opportunity for a bonus. Massive kinked bonuses. This is really a very large all or nothing bonus. So your book gives an example. For example, golfer Darren Clark, ranked 111th in the world, earned $3 million bonus for his sponsor, Dunlap. For some time, Clark wore the company logo on his golf shirt and did not earn a bonus. He would be paid only if he won a major tournament. There are only 4 of them. When he won the British Open, odds of winning are 200 to 1, he received the $1.45 million prize. So the main question here is, did this all or nothing bonus motivate him? This kind of bonus raises questions of motivating potential. And then spot bonuses are given for many reasons, perhaps for extra time worked, extra efforts, or an especially demanding project. Non-monetary incentives. They are performance awards, incentive awards for performance, recognition awards, recognizes individual employees for their work, and service awards, recognizes service. Then you can have commissions, percentage of money taken in on sales, usually given in addition to a salary to an agent or a salesperson. And these are the purposes of non-monetary incentives. Really, triggers for non-monetary incentives: recognize performance efforts, expand customer service, increase sales, increase employee morale, enhance employee loyalty and retention, improve safety and attendance. And as I talked, they can be three types: performance, recognition, and service. Now, possible reasons for using group team variable pay. Well, it may be easier to measure group output than individual, can increase retention, can improve quality, can foster group cohesiveness, and it can improve productivity. So these are the issues that come under group team incentive pay plans. First of all, the distribution of group team incentives. So it can be, one size for the whole team, or it can be different size rewards for each team. And so, as a same size reward, all members receive the same payout regardless of the job level, current pay, seniority, or individual differences. This is the common approach. Different size reward for each member. Employers vary rewards given to team members depending on factors such as individual contribution to group, team results, current pay, years of experience, or skill levels of jobs performed. Then there's timing of the group incentives. The frequency group team incentives payout is another important consideration. Firms may choose monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, although the most common period used is annually. And then decisions about the group team incentives. To reinforce the effectiveness of working together, some group team incentive programs allow members themselves to make decisions about how to allocate the rewards to individuals in the group. Group team incentives. Distributing rewards. Same size as I talked about, different size rewards for each member. Then I talked about the challenges with group team incentives. Is rewards distributed in equal amounts to all members, may be perceived as unfair. And then we've got the free riders. Those is a member of the group who contributes little. Such behavior can cause hard feelings and conflict in the group. Each perception of fairness of how the group incentives handle free riders influence the trust in management and in the program. Team size, individual efforts of employees have little effect on the top performance of the group in large groups. So group size is another consideration in team incentives. If the group becomes too large, employees may feel that their individual efforts have little or no effect. But if the team incentive plans encourage cooperation in small groups where interdependence is high, then such plans will be seen as favorable. All right, here's the list on 12.6, and it's also in your book, is group incentives may work if, and may work if not, And so they may work if cooperation is necessary to do the jobs. That facilitates teamwork necessity. Individual performance cannot be identified. That's individual performance. If management wants teamwork, that's managerial support. And the reward system is seen as fair. And employees have input into the incentive design. That's very important that I find in my experience. If the employees have input into the incentive design, it definitely becomes more successful. They're not successful if the teamwork is not needed to do the jobs, if each individual's performance level is clear, management sees little value in teamwork, the reward system is seen as unfair, and the incentive plan is imposed without employee input. Types of incentives. Group team incentives results can be group production, cost savings, and quality improvement. And gain sharing is sharing with employees of greater than expected gains in productivity through increased discretion efforts. So this is a wonderful incentive. These group incentives may be based on a self-funding model, which means that the money to be used as rewards comes from the improvement in organizational results. For example, reduced costs. Two older approaches to gain sharing, but they're pretty similar. One is Impro Share, sets group piece rate standards and pays weekly bonuses when those standards are exceeded. And the other is a Scalin plan, uses employee committees to calculate and pass on savings to the employees. So the key organizational incentive is profit sharing, and many companies do this because the primary objectives are to increase organizational performance, attract and retain employees, improve product service quality, enhance employee morale, and focus employees on organizational goals and objectives. The drawbacks, though, is that you've got to disclose, the company has to disclose financial information. And the variability of the profits from year to year can change the profit sharing. And so first, employees must trust that the management will accurately disclose financial information and profit information, but also you know, the differences profit from year to year can also be a burden on the windfall and the losses and beyond the employee's control. Profit results not strongly tied to employee efforts. That's another drawback that, you know, some organizations, they feel that the payoffs are generally far removed by time from employees' individual efforts. Therefore, higher rewards may not be obviously linked to better performance. Figure 12.7 is the framework choices for a profit sharing plan. You can have a variety of these fixed percentages of profits. That's your funding choices. Sliding percentage based on sales and return assets, unit profits, or some other formula. And then allocation choices equally to all employees based on a percentage of employee earnings, based on years of service, based on contribution and performance. Employee stock plans. I love these programs because it allows the employee to really see line of sight between their performance and the stock price. So employee option plan, employees can buy a fixed number of shares of company stock at a specified price for a limited period of time. And then, although the number of firms giving stock options to non-executives has declined in recent years, companies like Southwest continue to do it, And it really does incent employees to drive that stock price. The other option is employee stock ownership plan. That gives employees significant stock ownership in the organization that they work. According to the National Center of Employee Ownership, an estimated 11,000 firms in the United States offer broad employee ownership programs covering about 13 million workers. Advantages and disadvantages of ESOP. First of all, advantages is a favorable tax treatment for ESOP earnings. Employees motivated by their ownership stake in the firm. Disadvantages, retirement benefit can be tied to the firm's future performance, obviously by their stock price. Metric options for variable pay. So you can do organizational performance, sales programs, and HR related. So for an organizational performance kind of plan, you can do actual change versus planned change, revenue growth, return on investment, average employee productivity change. For sales programs, increase in market share, customer acquisition rate, growth of existing customer sales, customer satisfaction. And then you can have HR-related things like employee satisfaction, turnover costs, absenteeism costs, workers' compensation claims, and accident rates. Types of sales compensation plans can be salary only. All compensation is paid at a base wage with no incentives. Straight commission. Compensation is computed as a percentage of sales in units or dollars. And there's a draw system that makes advance payments against future commissions to the salesperson because it's so hard to be on straight commission. Salary plus commission or bonuses, and this is the typical one. Compensation is part salary for income stability and part commission for incentive. Straight commission systems is a percentage of the value of the sales is given to the salesperson. The advantages requires the sales rep to sell in order to earn. The disadvantage, obviously, is offers no security for the sales staff. And then the draw is the amount advanced to the employee and repaid from future commissions earned. Salary plus commission or bonus is compensation is part salary for the income stability and part commission. And as like I said, this is the most popular one. A common split is 80-20 or 70-30 salary to commission, although the split varies by industry and numerous other factors. Okay, so sales metric possibilities. Revenue growth, margin growth, new customer revenue, average sales revenue per salesperson, sales from new products, customer satisfaction, account retention, return on sales compensation, return on sales investment, increase in average sale, and control of sales expenses. So there is many metrics that can be used for your sales individuals. Now let's jump to executive comp. Handled differently than other employees' pay, usually more than business units heads with similar responsibilities, is a measure of power that a CEO brings to the organization relationship. I will say that there is mixed emotion about executive compensation in recent years. The amounts CEOs receive are usually more than business units and heads, and the average CEO in the United States in a recent year made $9.6 million. Others, of course, made much more. More of that is being tied to stock awards and less to cash bonuses than in the past. And stockholder activists argue that pay is too high and is not tied closely enough to how well the company has done. And they call it pay for pulse. So, as I said, there's been a lot of controversy around it, and there's a belief that we should include an element of risk for the executive, and based on more peer group practices than on than a rational executive compensation strategy. Difficult CEO responsibilities. Obviously, the CEO has to bring some clear, established strategic direction for the organization, build the organization, and get good financial results. So what has changed in the executive compensation world? Well, there is a lot on pay. Publicly listed companies must allow shareholders to vote on executive comp. So a provision of the Dodd-Frank Act took a proactive approach. Publicly listed companies now must allow shareholders to vote on executive compensation. The say on pay vote is non-binding, yet ignoring the vote could certainly create stockholder relations problems for the board. The main benefit of this law is the increased transparency as to how executive pay packages are designed. Votes that are over 15% negative on executive comp packages should be viewed as a signal that shareholder concerns should be examined. Clawbacks allow a company to recover any incentive-based pay that was paid out during the prior 3 years if it would not have been paid under restated financial statements. And this again was a provision in the Dodd-Frank law. In recent year, 17% of global banks clawed back compensation payments made to employees. The most common reason for the clawbacks were breach of authority or ethical violations. So figure 12.11 are the components of the executive compensation packages. We've got base salaries, and then we've got the regular benefits, and your book goes into detail about those benefits. Perks. Executive perks are obviously things like country club memberships, first class air travel, those types of things. Supplemental benefits, those are additional items of benefits that can help the executive. For example, corporate-owned insurance on the life of the executive is popular. Deferred compensation programs also are popular. Then you've got annual incentive bonuses, and we've talked about that. And then long-term incentives. That's usually performance-based incentives that are tied to the long-term growth and success of the organization. So these are the questions that are asked of individuals: the reasonableness of executive compensation. Would another company hire this person as an executive? How does the executive's compensation compare with that for executives in similar companies? Is the executive pay consistent with the pay for other employees within the company? And what would an investor pay for the level of performance of this executive? And so we really have to do our due diligence when it comes to defining the reasonableness of executive compensation. And here is the common criticisms and counter-arguments. The executive compensation often does not reflect company performance. Boards give sizable rewards to both high and low-performing executives. Executives should not get rewards and bonuses for laying off much of the workforce. Total compensation packages are excessive. Many people, not just the CEO, contributes to the success of the company. Counter-arguments are, it's a competitive market for executives and that drives compensation package increases. The CEO is in charge and responsible for results. Sports and entertainment stars earn as much as executives or more for playing games and acting. CEOs earn their money with endless hours, great pressure, major decisions. Measuring company performance by short-term earnings and stock prices is insufficient. So the person or the group that does this is called the Compensation Committee, which is a subset of the Board of Directors. And in most organizations, the Board of Directors is the major policy setting entity and must approve all executive comp packages. But the subgroup of the Board of Directors that is composed of directors who are not officers of the firm. And, you know, one of the major criticisms is that base pay and bonuses of CEOs are often set by members of the board of the compensation committees, which many of whom are CEOs or executives of other companies with similar compensation packages. So compensation advisors and consultants really are brought in to work with the compensation committee so that there is some objectivity to the proposal of the executive compensation package. So I hope you have found this webcast informative. As always, please ask questions on the discussion board. Thank you for attending.